Welcome to Mount Washington Care Center. This video will cover the STNA ECS training manual. Our company uses a program called ECS for the electronic charting. It is produced by a company called American Data. We will cover in this video computer basics, the STNA main access and charting screens, ADL level of care coding, the shortcut on remembering coding for ADLs, non-ADL charting topics, charting restorative care, meal and supplement charting, hydration cart and HS snack charting entry, and entering a resident's property inventory. First off, we have computer basics. We will cover how to log onto the computer, how to log into ECS, filtering and sorting residents' names, selecting residents' names, exiting ECS, and how to log off the computer. These are examples of the types of computers we use in the facility. The STNA will be using the wall mount touchscreen computers. When first getting into the computer, you will need to log into Windows. To do this, you will touch the screen to wake the computer from sleep mode. Type in the username mtwash-stna. Then type in the password 6900 BEECH. Remember, the password is case sensitive, so type in a capital B, lowercase EECH. When entering in the password and username, you will use the on-screen keyboard. If the on-screen keyboard does not appear when you first enter in or log on, you will look for an icon on the bottom right-hand side of the touchscreen. If you do not see the icon, touch in this general region on the screen and it will open up the on-screen keyboard. After logging into Windows, the ECS program should automatically load on its own. You may first see an American Data logo and a search for updates. Then the login screen will open. On the login screen, you will type in your personal password. The password needs to be at least 5 characters long. Characters can be capital, lowercase letters, or numbers. Everyone has their own individualized password, and it is linked to your name and your initials. So always remember, if you do not remember your password, ask for a supervisor or ask for someone who can help you reset your password. After logging in, you will be directed to the name selection window. Right after the name selection window opens, the filter screen will automatically open. On this screen, you will select the wing you will be working on, and you will click OK. If you are working on more than one wing, select the floor that you are working on. This will eliminate the names of the residents that are not on that floor. After filtering the residents' names, right on the bottom right-hand side of the name selection window, there are 7 buttons. Next to the button that says filter, there is a sort button. You will use this to sort the residents' names into room number order. They start out in alphabetical order. So first, tap the sort button. This will open up the sort window. You will look in this section right here on the window. This will tell you what is sorting. Initially, this window will be empty. So tap the button that says task. This will open up your sort tasks. Tap the name that says room order to highlight it, and then tap the button that says load. This will load that sort task into the window. Once that task is there, click OK, and the residents' names will be sorted into room order. When selecting the residents' names, you will need to tap the small button next to the larger 6 on the bottom left-hand side that says Multi. This will allow you to select more than one name at once. I recommend, until you are familiar with your section, after reviewing your assignment, look at the residents' names on their doors and find the resident at the beginning of your assignment and at the end of your assignment. This will allow you to select the names easier after the names are sorted in room order by selecting the first one and selecting each name in between the first and last resident. After your names are selected, tap the OK button. You will see a second name selection window. This will have only the names you selected, and you are to review and confirm that they are correct. If the names are all correct, tap the OK button, and this will save your names as highlighted. So next time you log into the computer, the names will already be highlighted for you. We'll now go to exiting ECS. When leaving the ECS and Windows programs, from ECS, first tap the big Exit ECS button. This will close the main ECS program. Then you will need to exit the login screen. Tap the little X at the top right-hand side of the window. This will close the login window. You will then need to log out of the Windows program. To do this, slide your finger in from the right side of the screen and you will get a menu selection. You will go for the Start button, logo, at the very middle of that menu selection. The Start logo will look like this. You'll tap the Start logo and this will bring you to the Start screen. On the Start screen, on the top right-hand side, you will see a little icon and the name MT-STNA. Tap the little man icon and this will bring a drop-down menu. Tap the word Sign Out and this will bring you back to the Windows login screen. Once you are on the Windows login screen, you can walk away from your computer and it will go into sleep mode automatically on its own. The second section, the STNA main access screen and charting screens. This will cover the STNA main access screen, buttons on the main access screen, assignment sheet and incompletion reports, the charting screen, the mechanics of making an entry, removing an entry, what are reports, printing and exiting a report, and making a late entry. Once you have selected your names, you will be brought to your main menu screen. From here, you are able to bring up your assignment sheet for your shift. You are able to go into your charting for your shift. You can bring up your incompletion report for your shift, and you can exit the ECS program. The assignment sheet is a report that has a lot of information about the residents to allow you to perform your job as the STNA. You are required to print this off and keep it with you at the beginning of your shift. The incompletion report is a report to help you track where you are in your charting. It will start out with a whole lot of X's just past the residents' names. These X's will disappear once you've hit the minimum requirement of charting for each charting topic. The goal is, and what is required, is to have all of the X's in both the daily and the extra incompletion reports completely empty. The charting buttons. This is where you will go to do your charting.
Pam, dial 213, please. Pam, dial 213.
The STNA charting screen consists of the names that you are charting on, the topics you will be charting on, reports to review the resident's plan of care as it applies to the STNA, reports to review the current level of care as applies to the resident's STNA. There's a second button to open your assignment sheet and review, There's a second button for your Incompletion Report to review it. There is a button for your diet list and also a button to review and edit your current charting for your shift. The mechanics of making a charting entry. You will first start by selecting the resident's name. This will highlight the name in blue. Then tap the name of the topic that you will be charting on. There are 3 sections to the charting screens. Your entry button section, your view and edit current entry section, and your view entries section. The entry button section consists of the buttons you will be tapping to enter the information you wish to chart in your entry. These buttons will type in most of the information you will need to chart on. You will also find a late entry, exit, save, and start over button on the entry button section. The view edit current entry section. That section will be right in the middle of the screen. This is where your entries will appear after you've tapped the buttons above. You will find the lettering in either black or blue. The black will be entered in by the buttons above. Blue is entered in by using the on-screen keyboard. You can freely change any of the information you have entered in before changing. If there is something you do not want to have in your entry, you can use the backspace button on the keyboard to remove that lettering. For the blue letters, it will remove it letter by letter. If you're trying to remove a black lettered section, it will actually remove the entire section placed there by the buttons above. The view entries section. This is at the bottom of the screen. This is where you will see charting topics that have already been entered for that shift. If you review down here, even though those entries have been saved, you may notice that there is a mistake. If there is a mistake, you can fix them. To fix or remove a mistake, tap the entry that has the error to highlight it. Then tap the button that says Edit. This will open a pop-up menu. Select the word Discontinue. You will see a window open asking if you are sure you wish to DC the entry. Tap Yes, and this will turn the entry gray. The next time you come into this topic, this entry will no longer appear. You can also remove an entry if you notice it is wrong when using the Review Edit My Charting. As I said before, this will bring up all your charting for your shift that day. If you've noticed a mistake, tap that entry that had the mistake, tap the Edit button, select Discontinue from the drop-down menu, tap Yes in the window asking if you are sure you wish to DC the entry, and it will turn the entry gray. And then next time you review your entries, it will no longer be there. If the entry is partially correct and you wish to fix an error in there, you'll work in a similar manner. First, you will tap the entry to highlight it. Select the Edit button, and on the drop-down menu, select the choice Discontinue and New. You will be asked if you're sure you want to DC the entry. Select Yes, and it will bring you back to that topic with the entry in gray at the top of your view entries screen at the bottom, so you can enter in what information from that entry was correct and correct the error that was noticed. Late entries. In the course of your shift, you will find yourself very busy. You may have forgotten something and did not remember until after you're home or the next day. When this happens, it is still important to chart that information. In order to do this, you will need to enter a late entry. Late entries are entered the same way as other entries through the individual topics on the charting screen, with one little difference. When making a late entry, you'll start by selecting the shift that the entry or the care had occurred on. You will then go to that topic. Tap the button that says Late Entry. This will cause a calendar window to appear. On the calendar window, select the date that the care had occurred on and tap OK. This will cause Late Entry 4 and that date to appear in the View Edit Entry section. You can then continue the entry as you have done before. Remember, if you are charting after midnight and the care you provided occurred before midnight, you will need to use the late entry to chart that care that occurred before midnight. It is important to do your charting every 2 hours to minimize mistakes or forgetting charting entries so that you will not have to use the late entry feature. Reports. Reports are your resource tools. They're used to provide patient information between the different departments in the nursing facility. These are examples of the reports that you'll find on your charting screen, or yes, your charting window. Your assignment sheet is the one you must print out at the beginning of your shift. Incompletion report, review during your shift, and at the end. The other reports will gather information from other departments within the facility, either dietary, MDS, other parts of the nursing department, social services, and so on. When printing a report, the ECS program uses the Adobe program to view the report. So when you open the report, you will come to this little printer icon on the top left-hand side of the screen. This will open the print window. To print the report, you'll first need to make sure you have the proper printer. Read up in here where it says the printer. You will need to look for either the word sharp and then the number 753, or the word sharp and the numbers 453. The Sharp 753 is the copier printer on the first floor. Sharp 453 is the copier printer on the second floor. If it does not display either of these printers up here, tap the drop-down menu to select the correct one. After you've selected the correct printer, tap the button that says Print in the bottom right-hand side of the window, and this will print the report. To exit the report, simply tap the exit button on the top left-hand side of the screen, and this will return you to your previous screen. ADL level of care coding. In this section, we will cover the ADL topics, the definition of the ADL topics, examples of the definitions, and coding under each ADL topic button. The ADL topics are bed mobility, eating, transfers, toileting, bathing, hygiene, walking in room, walking in hall, move on unit, move off unit, and dressing. The first one is bed mobility. The definition is all movement in the resident's bed, both assisted and unassisted, such as rolling in bed when changing, rolling self in bed, pulling up in bed, and assisting in and out of bed. So this includes how the patient is boosted up in bed, sits up and lays down in bed, turns side to side, repositions their body while in the bed, or alternate sleep furniture, such as a recliner or jerry chair. So if the resident spends most of their time sleeping in the recliner or jerry chair, that is considered their bed. Coding a resident under bed mobility. Independent means no hands-on assistance at any time. The resident does it entirely on their own.
Are you practicing?
The second coding option is supervision. This is no hands-on assistance given, just oversight, encouragement, and cueing of the resident. Limited assistance. The resident is highly involved in the activity, and the staff assistance is required to provide guided maneuvering of the limb, but no physical support or lifting is given. You're guiding, such as guiding a hand to a bed rail. When guiding a resident's hand, not bearing any weight. Extensive assistance, the resident is involved in the activity and staff assistance is required to lift, partially lift, and/or support the weight of the resident's limb or body, meaning weight-bearing support. You place their hand on the side rail, rolling or holding the resident on their side, lifting their feet on or off the bed, assisting with sitting up in bed, pulling the resident up in bed with them helping. So when you are actually providing extensive assistance, such as guiding their hand to their rail, well, placing their hand on the rail, your hand is on the bottom, you are actually lifting the arm and moving it to that rail. Total dependent. The resident does not help, therefore full staff is required each time. Someone pulling a resident up in bed that does not help and requires 2 staff members to pull would be total dependent. Eating. How a patient eats or drinks. Coding under eating is independent, no hands-on assistance at any time, no queuing. The resident does it entirely on their own. You simply place the tray in front of them and they take care of it from there. Supervision, oversight, encouragement, and queuing. You are reminding the resident what they are doing step by step. Limited assistance. You're cutting up the food, handing the resident the utensils or cup, and/or guiding their hands to their mouth. Extensive assistance. The resident participates in eating or drinking, but the staff feeds some bites and assists the resident in finishing the meal and fluids. Dependent. The staff feeds the resident the complete meal. Transfers. How a resident moves from surface to surface. Examples. To and from the bed, to and from the chair or wheelchair, to and from a standing position. This does not include to and from the bath, toilet, shower chair, or bedside commode. That is covered under bathing and toileting. Coding a resident under transfers. Independent, the resident does it entirely on their own. Now, with any of these charting topics, for independent or supervision, you will also see whether it is with setup or without setup. With setup means you have placed the walker or wheelchair next to the resident for them to reach and do the transfer. Without setup means the resident is actually pulling the walker or wheelchair to themselves and doing it completely on their own without any assistance at all. Supervision means oversight, encouragement, or cueing. No touching of the resident. Here again with supervision, with setup, if you pull the walker or wheelchair to the resident and then they do it as you remind them, that is with setup. Without setup, you tell the resident it is time to transfer, get up, and they pull the walker or wheelchair to themselves and they do it. Limited assistance. Bringing the chair or walker to the bed and guiding the hand to the walker or chair, but no weight-bearing support. Extensive assistance. Weight-bearing support is needed. The resident does participate in the transfer, such as a pivot transfer. You're putting their hand on the wheelchair or walker or railing, or you use the Sarah lift or sit-to-stand lift or stand lift, whichever you're used to calling it. We refer to it as Sarah lift in our facility. When using the Sarah lift, it is a mechanical transfer device and does require 2 staff members at all times when using it. The resident is also required to assist when using the Sarah lift. Dependent, the resident does not participate in the transfer. You use your muscles or the Hoyer lift to get them up. Toileting, how a resident uses the toilet room, commode, bedpan, urinal, how they transfer on and off the toilet, bedpan, or urinal. Keep in mind, when you are doing rounds and you're checking and changing your resident, that is toileting. Includes how they clean themselves after toileting and changing their pad or brief, how they do their ostomy or catheter care, how they adjust their clothes, but does not include emptying their bedpan, urinal, bedside commode, catheter, or ostomy bag. That is considered part of output. Coding a resident under toileting. Independent is no hands-on assistance at any time. The resident does it entirely on their own. Supervision, oversight, encouragement, or cueing the resident to toilet, wash their hands, or to readjust their clothes. You are still not touching the resident. Limited assistance, assist with zipping and buttoning, handing them a washcloth, but no weight-bearing assistance. Extensive assistance, weight-bearing support is needed. Assist them on and off the toilet, bedpan, bedside commode. You're assisting them with changing their incontinent products and their paracare, and any weight-bearing assistance. Now, if a resident has started out independent, they've taken themselves into the bathroom on their own, they've pulled down the pants, they are going to the bathroom, and then they pull on their call light for assistance, and then you must come in and provide paracare. The moment you take that wipe or washcloth and provide that paracare, you are then using extensive assistance. For dependent, the staff does all the work, the resident does not participate at all in assisting. Bath, how the resident how we assist physically while transferring and how we assist in helping them bathe themselves. Always code the most care you assist with. If a resident refuses the bath, you must notify the nurse as soon as possible. Coding a resident under bath. Independent is not something we do for safety reasons, so all bathing must be at least supervision. Supervision, meaning oversight, encouragement, or cueing. Limited assistance. Assist the resident with zipping or buttoning, handing them the washcloth, but no weight-bearing assistance. Extensive assistance. Weight-bearing support is needed. You assist them on and off the shower chair, assist with undressing and redressing, provide pericare and any scrubbing, any other weight-bearing assistance. Dependent, the staff does all the care, the resident does not participate in providing their shower. Personal hygiene, how we care for the resident's personal grooming of their body. Examples, how we or they brush their hair, shave or clip their nails, put deodorant on and wash their face, and brush their teeth. Coding a resident under hygiene. Independent is no hands-on assistance at any time, no cueing. The resident does it entirely on their own. Supervision, oversight, encouragement, or cueing, but no hands-on assistance to help the resident do it. Limited assist, putting paste on the toothbrush, turning on the razor, and handing them the device for them to do it, but they do it themselves. Extensive assistance. The resident participates in any grooming and then the staff finishes it up, including if the staff shaves the resident. Dependent. Staff does all grooming care, hair, nails, teeth, dentures, deodorant, etc. Walking. There are two categories for walking. Walking in room, the definition is how the resident walks in the room to and from their bed to the bathroom or anywhere in their room. Walking in hall, how the resident walks in the hall to and from. The definition for both walking in the hall or the coding for both walking in the hall and walking in the room are independent, meaning no hands-on assistance at any time. The resident does it entirely on their own. Supervision, oversight, encouragement, and cueing. If a resident has a wander guard, they should always be supervision, if not limited or extensive. Limited assistance, holding hands but no weight-bearing support. Extensive assist, any weight-bearing assistance, holding the hands or holding a gait belt where you are actually assisting support the resident's weight. Moving on unit. The definition for moving on unit is how a resident gets to and from a place on the unit and how much help is needed. The coding for moving on the unit is the same as that as moving off the unit. So I will go to the moving off the unit definition. Moving off the unit, how a resident gets from the unit to other places throughout the building. Examples, the dining room, beauty shop, activities, and therapy. Coding for moving on and off the unit include independent, meaning no hands-on assistance at any time, no cueing, the resident does the ADL entirely on their own. Supervision, just oversight, encouragement, or cueing. Limited assistance, holding hands, no weight-bearing support. Extensive assistance, any weight-bearing assistance, holding their hands, holding the gait belt, or guiding them through the halls and helping them. If they're in a wheelchair and they are able to roll part of the way, but then you must guide them around obstacles, that is extensive assistance. Dependent, you are doing all the work, pushing them around, and they are totally dependent on you for locomotion to get from one place to another. Dressing. Definition, how the staff assists with dressing the resident. Examples, shirt, pants, undergarments, Ted hose, socks, and shoes. Coding a resident's ability to dress. Independent, no hands-on assistance anytime, no cueing, the resident does it entirely on their own. Therefore, they walk out of the room fully dressed, you did not need to provide any assistance. Supervision, you are getting the residents' clothes out and watching them dress, oversight, encouragement, and cueing them what to do. Limited assistance, helping guiding clothes over their head, buttoning or zipping. No weight bearing or lifting of the limb to help put in an arm or leg. Extensive assistance, if the resident can dress any half of their body but still requires some help lifting of any limb. Examples, assisting putting on Ted hose, socks, shoes, lifting an arm to put in a sleeve, holding a leg to put on pants, that is extensive assistance. Dependent, staff does all dressing and the resident does not assist at all. When assisting a resident with a bra, if you are simply hooking the hooks in the back, that is limited assistance. But if you have to actually assist with lifting the breast into the bra, that is extensive assistance. Shortcut on coding ADLs. Independent. The resident does it entirely on their own. There's no help with staff oversight at any time. Supervision. Oversight, encouragement, or cueing. The staff uses their eyes, mouth, but no hands. Limited assistance. The resident is highly involved in the activity and staff provides physical help in guided maneuvering of the limb or other body part, but no weight-bearing assistance. A guiding hand is on top. Extensive assistance. The resident is involved in the activity, but staff provides weight-bearing support. Staff uses hands and bearing some or any of the resident's weight. A lifting hand is on bottom. Total dependent. Full staff performance during care. Staff performs the entire task. The resident does not do anything to help. The next section is non-ADL charting topics. This will cover the non-ADL charting topics, definitions of the non-ADL topics, and the importance of each non-ADL topic. The first three are part of the output charting. The first one is voiding output. The definition, urine output both continent or incontinent. Keep in mind, when you do a check and change, chart whether a resident has voided or not for each time. Also chart what incontinent products you used to provide them when they do void. Examples, when you go to do a round and your resident is dry, you would chart that as a no void. You go to do a round on the resident and they are soaked, you would chart that as an incontinent void. You go to take the resident to the toilet and they tell you they are okay, that will be charted as a no void. You go to take the resident to the bathroom and they are soaked, that will be charted as an incontinent void. You go to take the resident to the bathroom and they are dry and then they urinate, that will be charted as a continent void. The second part of the output charting is urine output for the measured urine. This will be used for measuring urine output from a catheter or to track a resident's urine output when we use those hats in the toilet. Third part of the output charting is stool output. The definition, when a resident has a bowel movement, how much they went, how many times they went, and whether they were continent or incontinent. Please make sure you chart this very accurately. We do not want to give our residents stool softeners if they are not needed. Also, a smear on a brief is not considered a stool. 4-day voiding record. This is where you will chart people that are on a bowel and bladder assessment. This is not only used for all new admissions, but even for our long-term residents as well when we see changes in them. This is very important to code accurately and in a timely fashion. Scheduled toileting. This is what the resident may be placed on after following through with the bowel and bladder assessment. This button is used for charting a resident's output when our resident is placed on a toileting program that is scheduled to meet their needs. Please code and chart this accurately and in a timely fashion. This is one of the reasons why it is important to chart at least every 2 hours. Intake. This button is for additional fluids we give our residents in the course of our shift other than what they get served at mealtime or snacks. Accurate charting of this can help determine whether a resident has or has not had adequate fluid intake. This also does not include fluids given during med pass. Behavior. This is where you can chart the residents' behaviors when they might act out. This is also how you may how many times they may act out and how you may have diffused the situation. This is very helpful in seeing how new medicines are working and to see when the residents might need some adjustment in their medicine. It also can show us if there is a decline in their mental status. Please try to chart this later in your shift so you can see how the resident's behavior is throughout the entire shift. However, if you do notice a behavior, please chart it right away, because the number of times you chart a behavior will help indicate the number of times that behavior may be occurring, because that behavior may occur more than once in a shift. Mood. This is where you can communicate how the resident is feeling. You are the person who will know the resident best and can see changes in their mood. You're also the person who might know how to make it better in resolving the problem. That is why it's important for you to document this accurately. This is also where you will document if the resident has a poor appetite. The social workers will use your chart. This button is used when a resident is needed to be checked on either every 15 or 30 minutes to make sure they are safe and okay. When charting this, and in this category, you should probably chart it at least every hour or sooner. Maybe if you're getting extra busy, you can get your nurse to help you since we're here to work as a team. We do not use this topic all the time. This is for residents who may be on suicide watch or a severe circumstance like that. And it is very important to chart this accurately. Positioning. Definition. This is where you can enter when you have turned your resident or repositioned your resident, even if it's just standing them up in the chair to reposition. Accurate and timely performance and charting can help indicate how well we are assisting the resident, and a resident's skin may be healing or help prevent skin breakdowns. When you get a resident up and walk them to the bathroom, that can also be considered part of positioning. The other button. This button is used for various things that are resident specific regarding their care. When looking at the other buttons, it will say right on the first part what the specific information is for that resident. And then you will either chart whether it was completed or not completed. One you may see very often is for hearing aids needing to be in the resident's ears in the morning and out of the resident's ears and in the nurse's cart at bedtime. When this is done, you will mark whether it was completed or not completed. If the end of your shift comes and the resident wants to stay up to watch a sporting event or a movie and they do not wish to take out their hearing aids, you simply mark not completed. This will help prevent any confusion if those hearing aids are not able to be found later on. We will know that you were not the one who took them out. If you marked completed, you are saying that you had taken those hearing aids out or put them in as it says in the order. Section shift, charting restorative care for the resident. The STNAs will be doing some restorative care, and you'll need to know what care it is. This will not be outside your normal duties for your care. To know where to chart or what to chart for your restorative care and what you are expected to provide, it is on your assignment sheet. To view, go to your assignment sheet, and you will look on the far right-hand side of your assignment sheet. This will show the restorative assignment for the floor aids. If there is not an assignment for the floor aids, that section will appear blank. When charting the restorative care, you will go to your charting section of the screen. Select the resident's name, and then tap the button that says Restorative. This will open up the restorative charting screen. Now, every restorative program will be turned tan if the resident has one ordered, and it will be purple if they do not. To know which one you are responsible for, it will say on your assignment sheet, but if you need to also review, you can look down here at the View Entries section. To get a better view, you can tap the button that says Full. This will expand the View Entries section to the full size of the screen. You can then review what the restorative orders are. If the order says STNA / and then what the restorative care is, that is for the floor STNA. If it says RNA and then what the restorative order is, that is for the restorative nurse aides. After reviewing this, you can tap the split button and this will return your screen back to normal. When charting the restorative care, you will then tap the restorative button. This will cause the first of these three number windows to open. The first one is minutes of entry. The minimum amount of minutes for a restorative program is 15. That does not mean you must spend 15 minutes with that resident at one time. It can be broken up throughout the space of an 8-hour shift. You will also see one for number of repetitions and number of feet. When charting the restorative care, again, tap the button. This will cause the number pad to enter. Put in the number of minutes and tap OK. You'll then receive your second number pad for either number of repetitions or number of feet. You can use this as a calculator if you need to type in the number of repetitions. Make sure you hit the equal sign before clicking OK. Otherwise, the math problem will appear at the bottom instead of the answer that you desire. When calculating the feet walked, you can count the ceiling tiles for the resident. The skinny ends of the ceiling tiles are 2 foot long. Charting meal and supplements. We'll cover the definition of the 3 meal topics, the fluid measurements, and the process of charting a meal with a supplement. The definition of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. How we track our residents' food and fluid intake for each meal, whether they ate 25, 50, 75, or 100%, or if they were tube fed. It also tracks their fluid intake along with their supplement intake. This is an example of all the fluid measurements we have in our facility. If you are giving a resident a fluid that is not listed here, you can ask the dietary department, the nursing staff, or you may be able to look at the label of the fluid item to find out the milliliters. When charting soup, you will chart 180 milliliters for the fluid. You will also count it as part of the solid food meal for percentage. When charting a resident's meal or intake, we'll use lunch for this example. Start by selecting the resident's name and then selecting the meal. This will open that meal's charting topic. On the screen, you will see the percentages and the tube feed button. You will also see a button that says supplement. This button will appear green if the resident has an ordered supplement. If they do not, it will appear sky blue. When charting a meal, enter in the percentage that the resident ate. A number pad will open to enter in their total fluid intake for that meal. This means the juice or milk the resident took in and what they drank of the supplement. Add all the totals together and enter in the total onto the number pad. If you need to, the number pad is a calculator and you can do the math on the number pad. The total milliliters will then display in the View Edit Entry section. You will then enter in the supplement for that resident. So you'll tap that supplement button and it will bring you to the list of supplement options. The supplement that is ordered will also turn green. If you provided a supplement because the resident did not eat very well, you will then also go to supplements to chart that supplement as well. When entering the supplement, you will tap the supplement's name and enter in on the number pad the milliliters that the resident drank of that supplement. If the supplement was Ensure Pudding or Magic Cup, you will enter the percentage that they ate in the dialog box. These will then appear on the View Edit Entry section under where it'll say the supplement's name, milliliters, or percentage for that item, and then you can click the Save button and move to the next resident to chart their food. Hydration cart and HS snack. The hydration cart and HS snack buttons are found on the PM shift charting screen. The hydration cart button will stay purple and can be charted in. The HS snack button will turn green if the resident has an HS snack ordered. For hydration cart charting, after passing the snacks or drinks from the hydration cart, you will need to enter the information into ECS. To do this, you will simply start from the PM charting screen, select the resident's name, and tap the button that says hydration cart. This will open the hydration cart charting entry screen. When charting the hydration cart information, tap the buttons that apply to what was given. If a resident was given a snack or a drink, you will simply tap snack given, drink given. If the resident refused, was out of the room, or sleeping, you will tap the appropriate buttons. There is, in fact, a sleeping button just past out of room. After you have entered in the correct information for what was given, you will tap the Save button. Because the hydration cart is simply a courtesy and is not easily tracked, we do not put in percentages or milliliters of the fluid or food drank. And in most cases, our residents do not even eat, finish, or even drink the fluids. They simply accept them. The HS snack. When charting on a resident, if that resident has an HS snack ordered, the HS snack will appear green, indicating that the information is required to be charted on. To enter the HS snack, click the button and you will go to the HS snack entry screen. When entering the HS snack, chart it accurately what the resident actually consumed that night. First, tap the percentage that applies to how much of the resident ate, which is part of, or this will chart the percentage and open up the calculator window. Then enter in the total milliliters the resident drank. This information is extremely important when working with our diabetics whose blood sugar can drop dangerously low at night if not monitored. Finally, once the snack information has been entered, tap the Save button to exit the charting. The HS snack button will also actually appear on the third shift charting screen. We do have some residents who do not wish to eat their snack until around midnight or later. This is fine. If you go into the room and find they have not had the snack, simply offer them to eat it. If they say they do not wish to eat it right now and would like to eat it later, inform the nurse and the nurse aide following you so that it can be followed up on later in the evening. Entering a resident's property inventory. The property inventory button is a report is a useful tool in tracking a resident's personal belongings. This button should be used upon admission when a resident receives a new item and when an item is brought home by a family member. This is especially important if the items are of value. This button can be found in the Other category on both the STNA screen and the Nurse's Access screen. This button can also be found on the Unit Clerk's Access screen and the Social Services screen. Our policy for the property inventory is, for new admissions, the admissions will give a property inventory list to the family members upon admission, asking them to fill out all belongings they bring in. Once the family member fills it out, they will be giving it to the nurse, who will then ask the nurse aide that has the resident to verify the belongings and enter it into ECS. When this happens, you will take that sheet, you'll walk into the resident's room, make sure all the items on the sheet are present in the room, as well as adding in any items found in the room that may not have been on the sheet. You will then go to the computer and enter in that information. It is only upon admission that it is the STNA's responsibility to enter that information in. For items brought in after admission, since family members bring in items to give to, and giving it to whoever they see first, usually, we made it possible for nursing staff, unit clerks, social services, or nurse supervisors to enter in the new items in this way. If it is handed to you, you can enter it. So if a family member comes in, brings in a new item, informs you, or hands it to you to bring to the resident, you'll need to enter it into the property inventory. For items taken home can also be entered in ECS by any nursing staff, unit clerk, social services. So if you are informed by a family member that they are taking an item home, please be sure to go into ECS and document it. When doing any of these items, whether it's on admission, after admission, or an item being taken home, you'll select the resident's name and then you will hit the property inventory button. This will open up the property inventory charting screen. When on the screen, select whether the items were brought in on admission, after admission, or taken home. Always select one of these three first. You will then be brought to the first category. The first category topic is clothing and footwear. Select the button with the name of the clothing item, and a small dialog box will appear. Enter in the quantity and description of the clothing into the dialog box, then click OK. Repeat this process for each type of clothing. Then click the next category button. When entering in the description, all you must do is enter in such as 5 t-shirts or 4 spring dresses. You do not need to get into full description saying a sweater with ducks and Easter eggs on it and a pattern of grass and flowers. You simply need to indicate the type and quantity. When next category, the second topic is accessories. If a resident arrives with glasses, this is where you would enter them. To enter the items, you select the item type, and in the dialog box, enter in the quantity or descriptions. Here again, if a few pairs of glasses were brought in, you could tap glasses and enter in, say, 3 brown-rimmed glasses, or 2 reading glasses. Then click OK on the dialog box and continue process for each button. Then click the button that says Next Category. Repeat this process for each category of items that the resident has brought in. After each category has been entered, you'll simply come to the Save button and you will be finished. Now, if an item was brought home by a family member, please, after selecting the type of item under that category, enter in also the family member's name, if possible, to indicate who brought the item home. Thank you. Charting topics. When entering a resident's charting topic, first select the resident's name and then select the charting topic. When entering the charting topic, you'll first enter in the level of assistance. If the care did not occur, click the button that says Did Not Occur. This will enter Did Not Occur into the charting. It will save and exit the topic. If the level of care is independent or supervision, you will select which one of those was provided and then indicate whether it was with setup or without setup for either supervision or independent. After entering either of these, click the Save button. If the level of assistance was 1 assist or 2 assist, you'll then indicate the level of care, whether it was limited assist, extensive, or dependent. After indicating this level of care, click the Save button, and this will save and exit the topic. Charting output. When charting a resident's output, you'll select their name and then click the Output button for your shift. The first section of the output is the voiding section. In this section, you will indicate whether it was a continent void, incontinent void, no void, if it was a catheter, and if the resident is a catheter and this is not the end of the shift, you can click the Go to BM entry for catheter residents. This will direct you to the bowel movement section of the output. If the resident does have a catheter, you would click the catheter button and it will bring you to the urine output. Then click the urine output button and enter in the milliliters of urine output for the catheter, or the measured output from the hat in the toilet. When entering in for toileting or changing a brief, you'll indicate whether it was continent or incontinent, no void, and then you will indicate if you need to provide any briefs or other incontinent products for the resident. After selecting the type of incontinent product, you'll indicate the number used. If there are additional voids for you to chart, just tap the additional void button. This will bring you back to the beginning of the void section, and you can enter in an additional void. If you are finished with entering the void, tap the next button. This will save your void and bring you to the stool output. When entering a stool output, you will indicate whether the resident was continent, incontinent, had no bowel movement, or has a colostomy. After indicating one of these, you'll be brought to the output whether it was small, medium, or large. And then you will indicate whether it was a soft bowel movement, a hard bowel movement, or a loose bowel movement. If there's more than one bowel movement to chart, you can then click the button that says additional stool. This will bring you back to the stool output section of the output, where you can enter in an additional stool. If the resident is on a scheduled toileting program, there will be an indicator there saying scheduled toileting. If you've finished entering in all the bowel movements, you can then click the save button, and this will save and exit the output section. Charting meals. When charting a resident's meal, you will indicate the percentage that they ate. It will then ask you for the milliliters, and you will also indicate if they had a supplement. If the resident ate 25% or less, you will enter in 25% or less, and then you will enter in the milliliters. You will then be brought to options for alternate meals for offering. If the resident refused the alternate meal, simply indicate 0%. Otherwise, indicate the percentage that the resident ate of the alternate meal. If the resident received a supplement, after entering the alternate meal, you can click the supplement button. This will bring you to the supplement screen to enter in the supplements. On the supplement screen, the ordered supplement, or if you provided one because the resident did not eat well, you will indicate the supplement provided, or the health shake if it was a health shake for them not eating well. And you will indicate on the number pad what the milliliters were that the resident took of the supplement. If the supplement they received was an Ensure Pudding or Magic Cup, you will indicate in the dialog box the percentage that the resident ate. You can then click Save and Exit. Common issues noted with charting. First one is coding a resident's care incorrectly. Second is peer pressure. This is referring to previous charting entries made by other STNAs to influence your charting. 3, late or incomplete entries. 4, not charting as you go. And 5, inputting accurate information on the correct resident. To minimize mistakes, 1, chart as closely as possible to the time the care was given. 2, chart every 2 hours as you complete your rounds. 3, understand the codings of the resident's ADL care. 4, check the resident's name and picture before charting the entries. And 5, when you're unsure or having problems, please ask questions of your supervisor, floor nurse, or fellow STNA. We are all here to work as a team.